So in this afternoon session, okay, we are looking at the nexus of AI, education, society, and industry. And I think I'll just reintroduce the panels. Okay, so Ben has spoken just now. Okay, Zhang Ying has spoken just now. Lydia has spoken. So Professor Ingrid Winkler, okay, she's from Brazil. And she'll be speaking tomorrow, but because of the talk that she's talking about involving Industry 5.0, so I thought it would be good to have her to enrich our discussion, right? And also we have Mr. Wang, okay, he's from the industry, okay, and he will give us that important flavor that the rest of us academic may not have, right? So, so I'm going to invite Mr. Wang to actually do some self-introduction and okay, and you have a video to share.
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone, I'm Harvey Wang. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer from Modobest, a tech startup originated from Tsinghua University. And I'm probably the least techy guy in a tech company. I only had a Word on my iPad, and I'm trying to make myself look techy this way. So I'll talk about my company first, a few words. We are probably the only company which focus on on-device AI in the world. And earlier this February, our 7 billion parameter model achieved roughly the same performance as ChatGPT 4.0. So we're reported by The Economist in last September and awarded by MIT Tech Review as one of the 50 smartest companies in China this September. So it's my great honor to be here at NTU. I still remember the last time I was in Singapore. I'm taking my 4-year-old daughter with me, and it's a little bit embarrassing. She asked me, the first question she asked me is that, why does Marina Bay look so small and even smaller than the parks in Beijing? so I told her to, so wait for a moment and tell me how you feel later. And later that evening, I took her to the sky deck on Marina Bay Sands. And after she looked at all the beautiful scenes, and she jumped and shouted, "Oh, it's so beautiful here!" So from these, it's just a 4-year-old girl, but it tells us two things. That one, all the best is in the concentrated form. And two, you can only get the real beauty from up high. So when we talk about concentrating, it's very interesting. Our chief scientist, Professor Liu Zhiyuan, has raised the dancing law, which is attributed by Intel's only senior principal engineers in China as one of the 3 most important laws in AI development. So the first will be Moore's law. So as he's from Intel, so no wonder about that. And the second is about Elias' scaling law, and the third is dancing law. So the dancing law stated that every 100 days, so the model's knowledge density will double. So given that, we think AI could be both the carrier and the tool for the knowledge, and AI will be essential for education. Take our model capacities, we develop a multi-agent space AI-powered platform called Agent Tutor. So Agent Tutor starts from the idea that Tsinghua University wants to cultivate AI awareness for our faculties and students, but we don't have so many staffs. So there's a thought, why we can't use AI to teach AI? So that's how Agent Tutor is born. So why don't we just run the little video to show us what it looked like?
So maybe we can play the video.
Hello everyone, a warm welcome to the course towards General Artificial Intelligence.
Yes, thank you. And I would thank Professor Zhang Ying for the earlier, well, very passionate introduction. And it turns out we're just brothers in this education method, and it saved us a lot of time to just get into the details. And in essence, we're teachers. We have teachers and the students in, and teachers just need to just throw in their PPTs or even ideas into the platform, and it will generate a virtual classroom with teacher, teaching assistant, and your classmates. And it will tremendously save the burden of preparing a class. And for students, there are so many times and students will fall asleep before a MOOC, and sometimes they will even just too tired to skip the class. So we created multiple agent-based classmates to ask questions or encourage them, and even just play nosy, just like those naughty boys in the class. And when teachers scolding those naughty boys, and there are chances it might drag you back to the classroom. So with this type of technology, we increase the average finish rate for MOOC for around 10% to roughly 40%. So, and we deployed this technology in Tsinghua University, and we have around 20 or more credit courses using this technology to teach. And during our trials, we have found that nearly all these courses and teaching by the same teachers and versus traditional AI powered versus traditional just teaching method. Nearly all AI powered classrooms will produce a slightly higher score than the traditional teaching method. And well, if you say Tsinghua University, just like NTU, our students are the best of the best. And we did run a real-world test in Yunnan rural areas, and we selected senior high in senior high second grade, and we teach them average and senior high courses for a year, and we find out it's really to our surprise, and their Gaokao scores were 40 points higher than previous years. So if you guys know about China's Gaokao, 40 points it's a real life changer. So it will change your life for good. So we, last but not least, and with this type of technology, teachers can know where the students do good and where they do bad, and where they need more tutoring, and teacher could just proactively or reactively choose to just give the students some tutoring according to his need. So that gives a more edge for the students to get better hold of the knowledge. So with this, in essence, we focus on all the human interactions in teaching and learning process rather than the automation. And we believe teaching and learning is a two-way thing rather than one-way transfer of knowledge. So our platform, with this platform, we might have solved the impossible triangle of large-scale, personalization, and low cost in education. And we firmly believe every student deserves a chance, and tech could make it possible. So with this innovation, we have become the first and only global partner of Intel Digital Readiness. Some of you might heard in Singapore, it's deployed here. So it's a tiered program aimed to up-level global digital capability for the future. And we're digitalizing IDR segments for all the easy deployment. And last week, we have reached consensus with the Hong Kong Productivity Council to push forward these trainings in Hong Kong. And also with schooling systems outside of China, IP, AB, DSE, etc. And with these type of trials, we plan to just scale it across the globe. So if we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds very, very exciting. I'm going to check it out definitely later tonight.
Yeah, sure.
About what it has done. So in short, you are actually making learning like a multiplayer game,
Yes.
right? In a way, and makes the students very engaged. And you actually created actual educational gains, and you've done the measurements, right, in both Tsinghua and the high school that you mentioned. And it seems that the education gain was bigger for maybe the less brighter students. Okay,
Well,
if I may use that word, yeah.
Yeah, actually, according to our observation, in the brightest, well, for the brightest, you don't need actually to teach them. You don't need to teach them. They will just actively find materials outside of your curriculum.
Okay.
And for those who are not very good at learning, most of the time they will need only some help.
Yes.
Or they need some credit or need some recognition. So we give them the chance. We use a multi-agent platforms, and we just encourage him to study. And with our observation, not only the average score of the whole class is increased, and the actual gap between the best and the last
is reduced.
Yeah, reduced.
Okay, so you high mean, low standard deviation.
Yes.
Achieved. Okay, that's a hallmark of a very effective teaching tool. Yeah. So okay, you are an employer. I mean, you employ people to work for your company.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you this question because you're educators. Okay. And no, you have AI and you have so many things automated. Are you still going to hire graduates from university? And what type of skills do you look for when you hire? So I'm going to pose the questions to you first, and then later we'll go around the panel. Yeah.
Sure. So you mean what is the most important
How
thing?
do you? Okay. So let's say there are 10 candidates. How do you choose the candidate that you want to hire?
Well, I think it's more complicated than just one or two traits. And I think most important of all is that you have the passion. And you have the passion, you have the determination to get what you want. And often than not, you're likely to succeed. So that would be the number one trait I look into candidates. And I will look at his past records, and I will ask how he will react when he face difficulties, and will he just keep trying, or he will just go back or try another way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So passion, determination, and agility. You need to be very nimble and agile, thinking, okay, so these are the three things.
Yes.
So I'm going to go around the panel from your respective universities. Okay, so do you have something that cultivates students in these traits, or there are even other traits they are looking at? Maybe you can start with Ingrid. Okay.
Yes, thank you. So I'm Ingrid, I'm from Brazil. And in Brazil, in my university, we work with these professional trainings. So we're using AI and immersive technologies in our training, in our courses for Industry 5.0. And Industry 5.0 stands for a more sustainable and human-centric industrial process. So I'll give you an example. We're using Gen AI and immersive technologies for assess the learning trainings of ergonomists, for example. We have this, in Brazil, we have this cooperation with some Chinese automakers, and we design new vehicles with these Chinese automakers. And the Chinese drivers behave very differently from Brazilian drivers, of course, because it's cross-cultural, And we are using immersive technologies and Gen AI to learn into the Brazilian ergonomists how they can understand how a typical Brazilian driver will behave in a vehicle, the vehicle experience from a Chinese automaker. Because sometimes, for example, I didn't know that, my students teach me that the red color, for example, will mean something from a typical Chinese driver and some different from a Brazilian driver. So to make safer vehicles, we're putting these potential customers in the immersive environment. We have Agent AI, and we have simulations and situations, and we are understanding or teaching the ergonomists how to understand how the drivers will behave in this situation. So we will ask them, why are you taking this decision? Why is your process? Why is your behaving this way? For example, we have this infotainment screen in the center of the car, and this is a very critical process for the drivers, how they interact with this device. So we are using the immersive technologies and the JAI to assess how the ergonomists are using this technology to understand the behavior of the drivers, for typical drivers, and make safer vehicles.
Okay.
And it's a very interesting process. We have very positive results.
Okay, that's good. We're going to hear more about that tomorrow afternoon, right? Where
Yes,
you're
we
gonna share.
are. We are. We are here about automakers. We are here about aircraft maintenance and about operational decisions, everything related to the safer industry.
Yeah. So I'm going to come to maybe Ben to talk about the skills that you're thinking about, that you want the graduates to have.
Okay.
To prepare them for the
Okay.
industry.
So I'm not just a regular prof. I'm actually an employer because I run AICET.
Okay.
We hire engineers. We hire pedagogists. So we hire people, right? And I like to quote Warren Buffett, right? Frankly, we hire for three things. One is integrity. Two is intelligence. And three is energy, right? Because that's really the key. And the challenge about hiring is that, frankly, the job matters, right? So software engineers, like I said earlier in my talk, when someone asked me a question, it's not that human skills all you need is some human skills, because in software engineering, it's a professional skill. You need to write code, actually, right? Similarly, you need to generate code and read the code, make sure it's not wrong. So there is obviously a basic level of mastery of the profession, but that's easily done. We have these coding tests and stuff like that. We have balanced it out. So to be honest, I've been here, this is my 20th year teaching software engineers. It's actually quite easy. If you give me a kid that's quite smart, okay, frankly, there's limits to what profs can do, really. I mean, we don't do miracles, right? If the kid is quite smart, we can make him a good software engineer, sort of, right? The technical skills are actually easy to train. But what happens in life in general, and it's not here and now, it's really has been happening for a long time, is that having the right technical skills allows them to secure the best paying jobs. I mean, my students go to Facebook, Google, Jane Street, all the top companies, but the trouble is that after a while, they get stuck. Okay, and the main reason is very simple. Having good technical skills allow the students to get their first step into the big companies that pay a lot of money, right? But then the trouble is, once they get in there, everybody's the same, right? They're all smart, like Tsinghua, the whole Tsinghua is full of geniuses, so they're all smart, right? So the trouble is that to progress beyond the initial first job, they need to rise up the ranks. And it turns out that the key, as always has been the case, is all human skills. Okay, so the fact, but this is the point, right? If you're hiring fresh graduates, then you don't have the skills. So as long as there's some level of intelligence and teachability, it means they have self-awareness, they can learn, then they can pick up those skills. So in that sense, I think okay. So I think Zhang Yin said something about things are changing in universities. It's actually not true. My job as a professor is not to teach computer science. Because honestly, when I went to school, and today things are very different. I mean, now we're talking about agentic AI, which is a new thing, right? Agentic AI, I don't fully understand it. I'm still trying to learn what's happening. So the reality is that if the university is here to teach them like so-called practical skills in real time, they're going to fail by default. So that's never been the case. Okay, I've been prof 20 years, and you look very young. So I tell you what we try to do as profs, two things, right? First, we actually want to teach them how to learn. So to us, I mean, software engineers, home science, it is not about, I mean, many things are the same, functions are the same, and math, physics, I mean, and the laws of physics are still the same now, right? The point is not about the knowledge, right? It's really the process of learning and pick up knowledge. And because when they grow up and have real jobs, they need to learn on the fly. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I try to teach them, I'm not sure it makes any sense, but values. I think Chinese will say, 教书育人. 教书 is teach book, which is actually teaching is easy. 育人 is cultivation of character, which actually I think is more important. So I think the school has got two parts. Number one is teaching practical skills. The other thing is about building a character. I'm not sure it makes any sense. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, so this morning, Joseph was there, and then he was actually talking about, exemplifying certain values as a teacher is very important. I think in Chinese there's also a proverb that says 言传身教. I mean, so you can tell the students what to do, but you need to live your life for the students to emulate. I think that's something that's very important, and I'm not sure whether AI can do it in the future. Yeah. So maybe Prof. Zhang Ying, any?
Yeah, I will add to 言传身教，教书育人里面到立德树人。It's the same thing. And two things. First, that what we hope to teach the students is that what students want to learn. Do I want to learn value from profs? Why do I want to learn value in the university instead of Bilibili? I think that's the question we grapple with quite a bit, students, and especially when we actually take degree out of the equation. That's actually, I'm from business school. I think that's a challenge I face. It's like exactly the same courses, exactly the same experience. One with degree, one without degree. You'll see people, the demand is going to be just so different. That's number one. I think that's really good. And I actually love your example about human skills. And this is actually one of our other experiments we did in Peking University. We have a medical school in Peking University, and it's, in my mind, the best medical school in China. And about 2 years ago, one of the leaders came to me, hey, you know what, we have a problem here at the medical school at Peking University. It's like the medical division, we call it, at Peking University. What's the problem? It's like we have the best surgeons in the country. We train a lot of great surgeons in the country. Probably some of the majority of the best ones are from the school. The problem is none of them can make the hospital presidents. They all die somewhere along the way. Okay, and it's just sort of like they are great surgeons. They're very good on the operating table, but just cannot make leaders. Yes. Can you give us some courses we're training to make them better leaders? That's why we actually incubated the medical leadership program, which is something that actually we've been doing now. We've been working with we bring in those surgeons, would-be surgeons, and God, they're bad at communicating. So bad. And they're just, I think that's really, I'm in total agreement with you here in the sense that knowledge transfer or knowledge dissemination is increasingly less important or decreasingly important. But
has never been important, honestly. Yeah, still very young prof. Just as a young prof speaking. I've been here 20 years. It's never been important. But never mind.
But the students, you're going to have to convince them to develop something beyond the knowledge. This is still the place to go. This is actually the challenge we're actually facing right now. It's sort of like, you know what? They still think this is where they get all the knowledge. If we don't get the knowledge over here, what do we learn here? Why do I still have to pay $50,000, $60,000 to learn here? And I will start calculating my ROI. Is value is very important, but is it worth $200,000 important? I think that's the question we're going to have to start asking. But coming back to a question, what do we teach students? I think, again, human skills. At the end of the day, in terms of computation power, we're going to be way behind AI. We're going to be way behind. But emotions, empathy, and all those things, if we're still going to have the human society as we know it, those just things are still going to be important. Otherwise, we might as well pass our job to robots, and they do it much more efficiently and at a lower cost. Yeah. So students will have to learn to be humans as we know it. I think that's important.
Okay. distinctly human.
Yet distinctly human.
Leader, any thoughts?
Yeah. I'm so glad people mention like morality and have a great value system, because in the age of AI in good hands, it can amplify the goodness in human. On the other hand, if it's in bad hands, it's going to do a lot of damage. So I think never than before we need to cultivate good values, morality, and have our future generations having a really good moral compass that will guide their interaction and use and work with AI. So another interesting thing I've been hearing is the first thing I think Mr. Wang mentioned you're looking for in a candidate is, passion, having like being determination, being driven by something. And I thought to myself, oh wow, that's like the opposite what our currently education system is doing. We always tell students what to do. And very few times we give students the agency to say, let's explore your passion. What's meaningful for you? What would you like to do? And so I think in the age of AI, like not only people, like employers are looking for people with passion, sense of purpose and meaning, but also like for people to feel fulfilled, they also need that. The reason I think education is we're all grappling with this because our fundamentally education is tapped into the extrinsic motivation. It's about giving you a degree, giving you marks, then you keep on learning, like holding this like little carrot in front of the student so you get the student going. But never than before, we need to return to like values, purpose, and meaning. And so I'm really tapping into people's intrinsic motivation to say, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do good in the world with the help of AI. So I think it really demands a fundamental rethink of the meaning of education in our time, the pedagogies we're going to use, and what does it really mean to be a human in the age of AI that seemingly to be able to do a lot of things and previously require human expertise. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. So I'm going to go off tangent from our original plan of the topics, because now we are at something quite interesting. So I mean, looking at the current school system, as you say, we're doing the opposite. We are using very behaviorist type of approach, right? We punish you or we reward you so that you behave in certain ways. So how do you envision that this can be changed? I mean, is there a way? Okay, now that it's like an awakening because of AI, right? So any thoughts, anyone, that the system can be changed? Yeah.
Can I quickly respond? I don't think it's just now that we're awakening. I think if we are teachers, we should be paying attention. And Zhang Ying said correctly, the reality is that while physics hasn't changed much, the apples still fall downwards, calculus is still done the same way. Yeah. What has happened, unfortunately more than unfortunately, over the last 20 years that I've been a teacher, is that the students are changing. And exacerbated by smartphones early on, then you have social media, now TikTok. Douyin is not so bad. TikTok is a disaster. Douyin is better. Then there's COVID. Okay, COVID also changed behaviors. Okay, and sadly, Singapore, China, wealth, parenting styles, changing behaviors. Now with AI, actually, it's also changing behaviors. So I think ultimately the students' behaviors are changing, and just to make sure we're on the same page, teaching has never really been about transmission of information. Since 20 years ago, internet started, the information is there. I went to MIT, right? 25 years ago, MIT had OpenCourseware. All the MIT classes are online already. So if you want to find something to learn, you can learn from there. So the information has always been available. Now with AI, people are just more lazy and it's easier to find, but it was always there. So the reality is this, our jobs as teachers, I think values is important, okay? But beyond that, I think mostly teaching is fundamentally the management of motivation. Okay, frankly, as a teacher, if your students will do well, will work hard because they want to let you down, done already, frankly. That's the highest level. It's really the connection, and if the students are convinced, they're done, right? And then back to Lydia, right? Yeah, sorry, I'm in Asia, so the president lady, maybe good for you. You're not from Asia. Asia has this problem. The Chinese call it 应试教育, which means exam-centric kind of a system. Not Singapore problem, not just China problem. Korea, Japan, India, all same problems. So you have the exams determine your future, right? So the problem is the past, and this is not an AI thing. It has always been around. Okay, we've realized it for a long time, which is that education in this kinds of exam-centric systems typically end up teaching students to do things right. I give you a question, you give me the right answer, and every student is asking for the model answer, right? And increasingly, the future is becoming more uncertain, right? And even before AI came along, it was already, things were changing. So the system has to move from one whereby the students are taught to do the things right, to another, to a slightly different regime where students are taught to do the right things. So it's very simple, right? The students who do the right things not so well are actually long-term better than the students who do the wrong things perfectly well. Right? So I think moving forward, I think it's okay. I think the trouble is this. People think that it's AI problem. It's not AI problem. This is a problem that we have already realized for the last 10 years in Singapore. And it's really moving students from the regime whereby they just try to give answers to one whereby thinking what is the right question to ask. Okay? And this is difficult. And this requires the professors to have a different way of thinking. I've been quite successful, like you hear me talk, right? And having the platform to create all these videos from slides is not going to cut it. So the truth is this. AI, let me just respond to you. AI is useful. For what? AI is, okay, I could be wrong, and I'll make a bold claim. AI is never going to become a great teacher. The great teacher requires this thing in Chinese called 人格魅力, this charisma, right, which you will never have. But what AI can do, and the reason why it's important is because many places, many regimes actually suffer from poor quality of teachers. They are bad teachers. So what AI can do is that it will actually help to kind of prevent the bottom from falling out. So it's not a bad thing, but I think we misunderstand the limits, right? To become really good teacher, I think you still need the humans. So on that basis, I'm grateful. I think I still have a job next year. Thank you.
I'm going to ask Ingrid because she comes from quite a different culture. I would imagine your culture is quite different. It's probably not exam-oriented. Is it exam-oriented in Brazil?
Yes, I was thinking about how you mentioned bad behavior. You're punishing bad behavior from our students. And we have this example for the safety learning problems, because sometimes the learners attend this course, and about 6 months ago they working in the risk environment, and they're not using the PPEs, or they're putting themselves in a risky situation. And we are wondering why they know, they received the training, they have the knowledge, how they didn't transfer this knowledge for their behavior. So we are doing now, we're putting these learners in an immersive environment, and we're using Gen AI to biosense, to understand their biometrics. And we put them in several different situations, and some of them are fatal situations. So they are living this story. We're not talking about the not storytelling anymore, but story living. So they live the situation when they take bad decisions, bad behaviors, and they live the consequence, and they change their behavior. So we're trying to understand, because it's very recently we're trying to understand how we're transferring this knowledge to their behavioral changes, because when they're in the immersive environments, virtual reality, right? They forget that they're there. Okay. I even forget that I'm there. So they behave like they're in their routine situations. So you're using this immersive and powerful environment to make them understand that bad behavior will have the consequence for their own. So.
Yeah. Okay, so how long are your immersive lessons? Will you be able to come out to the real world after that?
Yes, it's a good question, because you have to watch, to observe, and to have this change behavior in some months, But we are reducing to some weeks, so we have this behavior change. We can watch is you can observe and you can measure just behavior in some weeks. So it's really effective
Okay.
to assess training, industrial training, safety training.
Okay. Okay. It's good. Okay. So you have a lot of measurements that's done to
Oh, yeah,
monitor
sure.
what's going on. Yeah. But I'm going to come to Lydia because okay. Did you grow up in Toronto?
No, I did not grow up in Toronto. I grew up in China, so I know
Okay. So
exactly
you have a
what is
contrast.
应试教育.
Yeah. Okay.
What's interesting is, I mean, we all know assessment drives education, not the other way around. Students want to see how you're going to assess them, what is the end game, and then they will adapt their behavior accordingly. But so far, we haven't got really good assessment that assess the process of learning. I think part of the reason the standardized testing is still here is it's easy way to assess. It's easy to mark whether you get it right or wrong, but it's hard to assess whether you ask the right question. But that's what people are looking for in industry, looking for in the real job. So I think we got to change our assessment methods, and I think as educators and researchers, we're responsible for coming up better assessment system that capture the process of learning. And a lot of these, like, so far, what do we talk about what's really worth learning, what employers are looking, like passion, determination, agility, resilience, value. These things cannot be measured by standardized tests. So how can we, capture still the process of learning and have good indicators? It's really, really hard. And then, but with the advent of AI, so I think a good use of AI might be to leverage AI's natural language processing capability and understanding capability to try to capture some of that and then really enrich the learning process. And so I think that, I think there's great use case for AI if we can change fundamentally our assessment methods.
So we have heard about immersive learning. We have heard about AI agents. Can the two be merged, actually, to do what she was talking about, a new way of assessment? Is there any contemplation in model-based?
Can I?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's just to echo Professor Ben here. We created technology for teaching, and I personally don't think AI could be a good teacher. So to the best, even without hallucination, and Gen AI answers your questions, and it's like some kind of 应试教育. So if you ask the right question, it will give you the right answer. So it collects information on the internet and analyze it, and it gives you answer in a very bullet points or whatever it is. So it is to answer your questions, but it cannot teach you to be creative. It cannot teach you human skills. It cannot teach you critical thinking. So in my point of view, AI is an assistant, and you do need human teachers to just teach students human skill and to teach them how to just find your purpose and find your value and how to be irreplaceable in the future, in the society, in the work. And one sentence for that: if you want the good answer, ask a machine. And if you want to ask a good question, ask the educator.
Sorry, first I want to clarify, I'm not putting you down. I mean, I was just stating what I believe is true, but I'm glad you agree with me, right? But I like to disagree on the fact that you can't use AI to teach human skills, because exactly what we are working on. So the trouble now is that in the past, our exam system is hampered by the fact that it's a paper on your table, you fill out the paper, right? But that's going to change, right? So we're building these bots. So you saw the bots. I mean, I can't mention, we are building these bots that can interact with the students. And moving forward, we are actually working to figure out how to essentially prompt these bots to interact with humans. And from the transcript of the human interacting with the bot, we can potentially assess some of these things that we could not assess before in terms of the, of the paper exams. So the fact is that the current technology has allowed us to have a different mode of interaction with the student, right? And actually, to be fair, I think you can do it too. I mean, it's not that hard. The question that getting from what I'm saying to the future is not a tech problem. It's actually a pedagogy problem. Yeah, so it turns out that I'm both a software engineer and a teacher, and that's why I can do the work I do. Thank you.
Okay, so I think that's okay. I just want to leave with a contemplation, maybe, because we have someone from education technology, with immersive learning, with pedagogy, and we're talking about human values. So I'm not sure. Maybe 1 year down the road, we should meet again in this group, and then we see how technology has evolved. Maybe we can have AI immersive doing the correct type of assessment. Maybe we'll advance a little bit more in a year's time. Right. So I'll look forward to meeting you again next year, and then we can compare notes again and see how things have evolved. Okay. So I'd like to thank the audience for the attention. Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll wrap up the session.